What is the best van for doing full-time van life in the UK and further afield? After over 3.5 years of doing full-time van life, we think we've got the answer, and it's probably going to surprise you. But before we reveal that, as you guys know, we are just announced that we are going to be going to America and Canada, maybe some other places as well. It's going to be a big adventure, so we need the right van. But this won't surprise you. The next van that we are getting, we want to be for keeps. We are absolutely, Janine especially, fed up of going from van to van to van. If you've been following our journey for the last almost 4 years, you'll see that we have gone from the very large van to the very small micro camper and a bit in between. We've learned so much from not just van life, but the camper vans that we've lived in, that we feel like we have got the specification down for our ideal van for doing full-time van life in. So before we reveal to you, which will probably surprise you, our van that we're looking for, we want to go quickly through how we got there. Our first van was a Ford Transit named Frida, at least 15 years old we believe, although it was a long time ago now. We bought Frida and got Frida converted quite low cost. It was around about the time where the cost of van conversions was going up to what it is now, and now it is quite expensive, but that's because there's a huge market for it. Frida was built very simply, which is what we wanted, of course within our budget as well. So it had the fixed bed, a small sort of seating area that we hardly ever used, cookers that we inherited from the van previously, a fridge, diesel heating, and moderate electronics. But with all that in mind, these are the things that we loved about the Ford Transit. The first one was the size. The size was a mid-wheelbase. That mid-wheelbase, I believe, is less than 6 meters. A mid-wheelbase Ford Transit is like a short wheelbase Sprinter. This means that you can get it in almost every single space around the country. In fact, every space around the country, bar none probably, which is a definite plus if you're doing full-time van life, leaving no restrictions. The only restriction really was the height. One of our mandatory things for any van that we are going to be getting is that you can stand up in it. But with standing up in a van, it means that you can't get in all car parks. You can get in probably maybe 50% of car parks, maybe 45% of car parks, but you can still get in at least half. So simplicity was the first thing that we loved about Frida. The size of Frida was the second thing that we loved. The reliability of Frida was the third thing we loved. We found having a reliable vehicle, especially when we first started off, nothing went wrong with the engine, and that meant a lot to us because we're not very engine savvy, although we're learning a lot as the more we go along and the more things that go wrong. And the fourth thing that we loved about the Ford Transit was the price. It was a lot cheaper than a Mercedes Sprinter. Otherwise, we might have gone for the Mercedes Sprinter because they've got a hell of a reputation. The cons about our first conversion, Frida, the Ford Transit, the first one was the electrics. Whilst the electrics were okay and we had moderate solar on the roof with 2 USB plugs, it was quite, in the winter, quite difficult to manage. And we ended up running the battery down, well, not all the way ever, but it was getting close quite a lot of the time. So we did say that the next vehicle that we were going to get needed more electronics, and that has remained consistent throughout. We always need a source for electronics or 3-pin plugs. The good news is there are power banks now, so even if we didn't have something that had adequate electronics, we could always get a power bank to make up. So the second thing that we didn't like about Frida that we would have wanted to change was the water supply. It could only carry 25 litres of water or 20 litres of water, I can't remember, with 25 litres of grey water. This simply isn't enough for doing full-time van life. We believe you need at least 70. 70 is what we had in our last van, and it worked well. So whatever we're looking for next has to be minimum 70 litres. And the third thing was the main reason why we changed Frida to the next van that we got, was the bed size. It was a double bed, but unfortunately the width of a Ford Transit, or that model of Ford Transit, and I do believe it's still the case as well, is only 6 foot long. 6 foot wide, sorry. Because we have a width long bed and a mid-wheelbase van, the sideways bed basically means that you can have a bigger kitchen living area, which was essential when you're in a mid-wheelbase van. Had we would have gone lengthways with the bed, meaning that I would have had a longer bed and more room, we could have made it work, but we would have had less floor space. So we would have had to go up to a long wheelbase van. Two options is to change the layout of the van, so we can extend the bed, which for me is not an option because we've used up every single bit of space in there as it is. For 2 people living in a small space, a mid-wheelbase van. And the other option is change the van. Before we carry on any further with our camper van shopping list, we wanted to tell you about Airalo, which is basically a solution that we found for internet and data needs whilst traveling. Airalo uses eSIM technology, and if you're not au fait with that yet, then it's basically a digital SIM card. It means that you don't have to go looking for one when you arrive in a country, which is super annoying. We've done it so many times. Those days, thankfully, are gone. All you do is you download the Airalo app, find the country that you're traveling to. We're going to America, and then just scroll down and search and select the package that you require for your needs. Airalo covers 200 countries worldwide. It's trusted by 10 million travelers worldwide, and we're super excited about it because it keeps us connected, uploading and streaming whilst we're traveling. If you are traveling abroad this year like we are, then don't forget to download the Airalo app now using the link in the description of this video, or scan the QR code on the screen right now. Please also take advantage of the lovely discount provided by Airalo to our audience, Happy Days Free. Now back to camper van shopping. So the next van we swapped to Morgan, which was a Citroen Relay Luton X removals van. And the main reason we got Morgan was because it had a king size bed over the cab fixed, which was the main reason why we changed. But of course, when you upgrade from your first van to the next, of course your requirements change. You think you know a little bit more about what you want from full-time van life, and the basics, the bare minimums. And when you go into it, around the time of Morgan was around the time that lithium batteries became very, very popular. Along with power banks and gadgets, and so we sort of went through the roof with upgrades. It had a shower, it had a much bigger kitchen. We were cooking bigger meals the more we went along. We had an oven, bigger seating area. Of course, the king size bed above the cab meant that we could just convert the whole of the back into a living area, which is exactly what we did. We even started off with a log burner. Okay, so the pros about Morgan were, it was luxurious, definitely luxurious. I would say now, looking back, probably too luxurious because it was too comfortable. However, we'll get onto that in a second. It had a fixed king bed. Not being able to put a bed up and down was one of our requirements from the very, very start. We're the type of people that when we're ready to go to bed at night, we want to just jump straight into bed. We're very active probably up until that point, but we don't want to be, at the time, we didn't want to be putting beds up and down again. However, that has changed a little bit, and I'll also be getting onto that in a second. The size of Morgan was absolutely perfect. It was 6 meters long, which meant he just got into spaces. It meant that we could have a king size bed, and we could have all of the amenities that we got on the back. Also addressing one of the problems that we had with the first van, Frida, was that we got more electronics. We upgraded to 2 EcoTree lithium batteries, and we covered the roof in solar. I think we had 700 watts of solar up there as well. So we never had to worry. Even in winter, we barely had to manage the power that we had, which was really, really good. And the last thing I mentioned about Morgan, our Citroen Relay Luton removal van, was that it had a shower. It's the first time we had a shower. In the previous van, we were using leisure centres for full-time van life, and we were using toilets there in the leisure centres at swimming pools and what have you. And whilst it was minimal cost, it got a bit annoying towards the end that we would have to rely on the infrastructure of a town or village to do that. So when we were in Morgan, we decided to have a fixed shower, and we absolutely loved it. However, these were the cons about having Morgan, the Citroen Relay Luton removal van. So as I said, it was too luxurious. Unfortunately, I believe we learned that having too many gadgets can be a bit of a hindrance. And for Janine and I, made us realise that we got into van life for travel just as much as we got into van life for the freedom of living in a camper van. So by having a king size bed, by having sofas at the back of it, also by having something that you stepped into the back of without having a slidey door, which we did have on the first van, we felt like we were very much inside rather than outside, and all of the luxuries became too comfortable that in all of the bad weather and the terrible weather we just stayed indoors and waited it out and watched movies on the overhead projector and made hot drinks, had hot showers, that sort of thing. Of course, with it being a large vehicle, the fuel economy wasn't great on Morgan either. And subsequently, the Citroen engines weren't reliable for our time. However, we had to get the engine changed twice through different faults, one specifically of the people that installed it. However, we did have engine problems. By the time we got the engine sorted, it got a bit better. But I would say our history of having that van, the engine reliability wasn't quite as good as what we had previously. Because of the engine problems I just mentioned, after returning back from a crazy adventure in India, we decided to raffle off our van. We decided to actually sell our van first, but unfortunately that went really wrong, and so we ended up having to raffle him. Whilst the van was being raffled, we decided to buy and do some car camping in a Citroen Berlingo. Citroen Berlingos are known as micro campers, which basically means you can turn your car into something you can sleep in and stay in.
So introducing our new car.
We slept and stayed in the Citroen Berlingo for over 3 months, and we slept in it every single night in a very small space for 2 adults. And in all honesty, we had the best time ever. Literally, we are talking about, the back is called a boot jump, and the boot jump is a dinette situation with sofa situation with bed situation. Just by picking up boards and replacing them again and shifting them around, you can have all 3 of those setups. It had a 1-ring cooker, camping cooker in the back, and some sleeping bags, and that was pretty much it. It was very, very basic, but you know what? We had the best van life time ever in that car, and it was probably the most important thing we've ever done. But these are the pros about the micro camper. The first major thing is it's reliable. Every time that I turned those keys, I knew it would start up, and every time that we drove, I knew that it would get us to our destination. I guess the main reason being was a Citroen Berlingo is a reliable car and micro camper and isn't carrying much weight. For the same reasons, the fuel economy was incredible in the Citroen Berlingo, and we hardly spent any money at all compared to the previous vans that we had. Since we had the Citroen Relay, the price of fuel has gone up dramatically, and the cost of running such a big vehicle also went up. When we went to the micro camper, the cost went dramatically down, and not just for fuel economy either, but for things like tolls when we're crossing Europe, and we even got onto transport like ferries so much cheaper than you would do in an ordinary big van. There's a lot to be said about micro campers, the fun, and also the agility. That thing was fast. It could get us out of any situation or into little places really, really easily, including absolutely any car park anywhere that we wanted to go to in Europe. We both felt like we were returning to proper camping, and whilst we were doing proper camping, we realised that it was proper camping that we absolutely loved doing. Spending, whenever we could, as much time outside as possible. In fact, in the Citroen Berlingo, as soon as the sun came up in the morning till the sun went down at night, we would be outside of the micro camper, outside doing things. And it was because maybe it wasn't so comfortable or luxurious inside that we did that. But the cons of being in a micro camper, of course, the main one being space. Space is such a premium. It was tight, and there wasn't much stuff that we could take. However, we could take the essentials, and that was all we needed. And because of that, it made us realise how little we actually needed in life to have fun, go about our lives, and be comfortable. There was also no shower in the micro camper. Also, last summer in Southern Europe, a lot of the beach showers were shut off, whether that had been for that year or previous years as well, because water is obviously a bit of a problem in the world. And so we ended up going a number of days without showering, swimming in the sea, being clean, flannel washing, that sort of thing, but not showering. So we did miss the shower. It was also, along with the space factor, hard to get up and go to the toilet. Well, it wasn't hard, but was a bit more of an effort than if you were in a van and being able to stand up. And also getting up and making a cup of tea in the morning meant you had to open up the boot, go outside, get the camping cooker out, make a cup of tea that way. So certain things, if the weather was worse during the time that we were in the micro camper, then we ultimately would have had a tougher time. Thankfully, the weather was really nice. And in all honesty as well, micro camping can be done full time with one person, probably okay, like relatively well, a lot of fun. But for 2 people, it's just probably not worth doing. However, we did 2 of us for the summer for 3 months, and we had the best time ever. So with all of that in mind, what about the next vehicle? What are we looking for? What's on the list? So out of everything that we've done so far, of all the vans we've handpicked the things that we absolutely loved about those 3 vehicles and what we want to take with us for the next vehicle. So this is our shopping list. Reliability, we need something reliable, so we want something newer than what we've had before. We believe that newer is probably better. Along with newer, we want it to be at least Euro 6 so that we don't have any problems with the ULEZ charges. However, the micro camper, for instance, didn't have any problems with ULEZ charges, and Morgan didn't have any problems with ULEZ charges because he was like a late Euro 5 or whatever. So they were really, really good things that we enjoyed. So reliability and Euro 6 we want to be essential. We'd also like something agile and compact. Believe it or not, I don't think we're going to be looking for anything big this time. When we went out in the pop top and the motorhome and we tried those 2 vehicles out, We definitely felt like the motorhome might be too big for living in. Whilst that suits a lot of people, some people love going big, and that is completely down to your personal preference. For us, we like the agility factor that we had in the micro camper. If we can take the essence of the fun and the agility and the reliability that we had from the micro camper and put it into something slightly bigger, then you'll know what we're looking for. We also like the simplicity of Frida, our first van, and the micro camper as well, not having any technology whatsoever apart from a power bank. The reason being is it just made life more simple. We're quite minimalist people these days, and we don't like having too many gadgets, too many things, also meaning too many things that can go wrong. So simplicity is also something that we want to take forwards. We do, however, want a better sleeping arrangement than the micro camper. It was probably a bit too small and a bit too tight. I could fit in it lengthways, that was no problem. I'm 6'2", and the micro camper must have been at least 6'4", which was no problem whatsoever. But something just a little bit better than that, that's comfortable, because we do want the next van to be a keeper. And the thing that's probably going to shock you more than anything else is that we're actually looking for something coach built. But we are not looking for a motorhome, or at the very least, we're looking for a mini motorhome or a camper van that's a motorhome. And they do exist. I've started to sort of see them and what have you. So that would work out really, really well for us. If we could find something that's coach built for us at this stage in our life means simplicity. It means lightweight, it means someone's thought about the weight, it means someone's thought about what's in there. But what we would be looking for is reliability also in the back of the van. Is our shopping list too big? Is our requirements too big? Or are we going to have to make some compromises? You always have to make compromises whilst you're doing van life, and we know that's going to be the thing. And also, this is our perfect van that we've got in our heads. This is our perfect van. We don't actually know the make and the model yet, but as you know by the shopping list, it refines it down quite a bit. So wish us luck. Okay, so there's one more thing that I need to just say before we go. Now you know what van we're looking for, roughly what van we're looking for. The other thing is there's been a development with regards to taking the van over to the States. When I shared the news with you before, I said we'll be shipping a van to the States, and I was wrong. In fact, there's been a huge update with regards to the politics of America and Canada that you need to know about, that has changed things a little bit. I'm going to update you with you now. So when I said that we're going to be buying our own van and shipping it over there, the reason being was we've got friends who've done it, and we spoke to other people who have done it, and they've sort of like weighed it up, and they've said even with everything involved, with stress-wise as well, it's better to buy your own van and ship it over to America. The reason being is because the buying a van and selling of a van, we know what it's like. No matter when you do it, we bloody hate it now. We really do. We're so done with it. We've done it so many times. It can take a while. Finding a van and selling a van can take a while. You don't only have a limited amount of time in the States. 6 months, is maximum. So we don't want to be spending all of that time, or even not being able to sell a vehicle that we bought over there. So also, you clock that up with the insurance and the price of the RV and everything else involved. Insurance has to be good in America because there's so many things that can sting you, including medical and legal. Then it actually works out to be the same price or a bit cheaper, and with a lot less stress shipping your van over there. And that's taking advice from other people as well. So we'd already decided on doing that. I looked into shipping the van to America, but my God, are we not going to be doing that anymore? It's too many hoops to jump through, too much red tape, too much bureaucracy. It's on the verge of being so not good and so complicated and so expensive that you just wouldn't do it. So that was never really on the cards. I got a bit confused, or a bit I overlooked a few things. Really what you want to be doing is shipping the van to Canada. And the reason why is because we're sort of in the Commonwealth, we've got that relationship with them, that there's a lot less paperwork and it's a lot cheaper for that reason. So much more simple. So that was the idea, was to ship actually to Canada. Also, Canada was a place that we really, really wanted to go to. However, there's been the development that's happened is that the company that was going to insure us to do all of that, to go to Canada, has now stopped insuring for Canada. So that means that our entry port and exit port is no longer exists. It has to be America or Mexico. Mexico's got really, from what I've seen, got really heavy restrictions on how much duration you can do it for. So it's almost a no-go. America's got too many hoops to jump through, too expensive and just too complicated, too much bureaucracy. So that's a no-go. So it's all on Canada. If I can't find another company to insure us for Canada, a decent insurance as well, because if we're going to buy a van and take it over there, we want our insurance to be good. Then, and we've also only got a small window before winter kicks in. Winter kicks in here properly end of October, early November. I should imagine in the further north you go, it kicks in a lot sooner, and you know, it's probably not the best conditions to be in Canada for. So we have got some more digging to do, some more research to do. We're hoping that the trip won't be delayed and we can still go in the fall, in autumn this year, but it might be delayed by a few months till the spring after. We just don't know yet, but we will keep you updated. And in the meantime, we are looking to find a van as quickly as possible, because without a van, we're effectively homeless. And we really want to get in a van sooner or later. So we're getting our skates on. And to be honest with you, probably in the next couple of weeks, you're probably going to see us with a new van, because whilst we don't want to do a knee-jerk reaction, we're trying to think about what we're doing, we need to get it right. Anyway, I'm going to finish this now. I've been talking for long enough. Thank you for watching. I thought we'd update you on the van that we're looking for. Thank you for all of your suggestions of vans that we could look for. Sprinter, yeah, maybe not now because it's too big and we don't want a van conversion. And the Ducato, all good ideas, but we're going to bear them in mind. But as we move forward, we're going to be definitely, our definite top thing that we want to be looking for is something that we can actually live in more than actually anything else. And then the second afterthought will be, okay, can we take this to America? Is it doable? Anyway, watch this space. You never know, the next time you see us, we might have a new van. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and hopefully we'll see you next time with a new van.
What we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.